Hey everybody, welcome to the Midcard. We're back, Joey. We're back.
Yes. We took a hiatus. We had an injury. We were written off the show for a little while, but we are making our return at the Rumble as number one or number two, and we are here. And my rambling has already begun.
Dude. So we can jump right into it, man, because we've had so much. How did you view Clash of the Castle?
I was surprised because I think
Yeah.
everything we talked about going up into the week or two, because I think that was about when our last show was maybe 2 weeks, I think, before Clash. And
Yeah.
everything that I had predicted, I mean, I don't want to say everything because we didn't really have the whole card, but I thought I was sold that McIntyre was getting the title. And I didn't see the
Yeah.
swerve of CM Punk. And I think you had alluded to it was a possibility that Punk could cost him the title, and it made too much sense to begin with. But I thought it was a really good pay-per-view for what it was. I mean, was it their best? No. But was it their worst? Not by a long shot. So I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was good. I saw a lot of hate online, though. Like a lot of fans weren't happy with the pay-per-view. I think a lot of people lean towards the way you were thinking about it too, was that Drew McIntyre was going to get the title. Um, I think they felt like that was due because of how he lost it. You know what I mean? I mean, dude, this dude. I mean, if you really look at it, he had his title run during COVID, right? Nobody was around. He loses
Mhm.
the title, everything starts to go back to normal. He gets his title, doesn't have the contract done. They cash in the money in the bank, and then now this whole story unfolds. It really did look like Drew McIntyre was probably going to win it.
Yeah. I think he had it the whole way, and that was kind of the point.
I like
I
I
guess
like the idea though.
yeah. I guess what it's gonna come down to is they probably view. So I've said it before. I'm of the mindset that a lot of these guys, especially with AEW being a viable option, and obviously TNA, and there's some money floating around in the wrestling industry. I think
Yes.
that the WWE will reward some of these guys for sticking around. I just think that right now it's not Drew's time. He's obviously going to be a champion again, but I think they look at it as, this feud with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre is so hot that why throw a title into it when they could just create more stories with the title in a separate program, and it just creates a better product and a better show overall when your hottest feud is not in doesn't have a championship title at all. So it gives them more options to do other stuff, and that's basically what I'm assuming they're doing. Because now we're gonna probably get the split of the Judgment Day. You've got Money in the Bank coming up. We're gonna see if Finn gets an opportunity to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, because I think his match is on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to
To
look into it.
qualify, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's the angle they go with, but who knows? Because even Money in the Bank is up in the air because there's so many different ways that they can go with Money in the Bank as well. So I think
My
that's
only, I feel like Drew and CM Punk are overshadowing the title.
yeah, 100%. But I mean that
Like,
happens sometimes. So I mean it's just
yeah,
that championship isn't the main card title. So no matter how much they want to tell you, like, oh, it's the Raw, it's the working man's championship, and it's just the other brand's top championship. It's not. It's WWE championship or nothing. So if you get a rivalry or a feud like CM Punk and Drew, I mean, yeah, it's bound to happen because there's so much heat.
right. Now, can they bring that title to the forefront and make it a premier championship? That's going to be the question. It depends on who holds the
Yeah,
title next.
and how they
Like
write it.
Damian
Yeah,
Priest isn't it? Yeah, Damian
no,
Priest isn't it?
no,
And
and I think that
I think it's time to move on from him. I just don't. I don't think it's working.
yeah, I think they will. To be honest, I think they will move on from him. I just don't think they decided at this point. I think for the feud itself, it means more because, like, if we can touch on what happened on Raw as well. I
Yeah,
think for the story, I mean, holy hell, man, it means more that CM Punk screwed Drew
does.
in Scotland in front of his home crowd, in front of everybody, and then 2 weeks later, Drew McIntyre. I mean, brutalizes CM Punk in Chicago. I mean,
Yep.
tell me the most heat you could get for both people from each other's respective fan bases, and that's what
Right.
they did. It's just perfect. It's to me, it's like just a perfect way to set it up.
They've done a good job with this because the majority of fans, I think on both of these guys, the fans are so split because nobody wants to boo these guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like nobody wants to boo McIntyre. Nobody wants to boo Punk. And I think they built up enough heat where it's just like if you're a McIntyre fan, you have a lot of heat for Punk right now. And if you're a
Mhm.
Punk fan, you have a lot of heat towards McIntyre. And they've split it perfectly because that's the only way you could do it because you're not going to get everybody to boo one of these guys. It's just not going to
E-
happen.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a masterclass. I don't want to say masterclass because I don't want to seem like
It's,
I'm that much riding the Johnson of the WWE right now. But it is
no,
it
but it
is
is.
very it's such good
No, it
storytelling.
is.
It's such a good feud. It's built up so well.
So we're not going to talk much about it because I tried to watch AEW this week and it was trash, like trash. It was one of the worst episodes of wrestling I've seen from top to bottom in a very long time. Their world title has no interest to me, and that's sad because that's your only real title on the card. You know what I mean? You have like all these other companies and all these other titles like floating around, and they're doing too much. Like it's Ring of Honor's titles are on there, New Japan's titles are on there, like now you have AEW's titles on there, but like it's like which title's supposed to mean more, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a mess. It's tough to follow. It's not great wrestling. It's not great promos. Their storytelling in the ring is awful. It's they have their niche fans, and that's the only people that are going to be watching for the foreseeable future. It looks like I tried, man. I used to watch it, and then after the Punk stuff, I think by now everybody that listens to the show knows I am a huge
Hmm.
Punk mark. Like I love CM Punk. Always will. I don't care. He's the, and I so the one thing I wanted to get into while we were talking about him, this is why I brought this up. I finally saw something that made me kind of proud of Tony Khan. He's still mad at Jack Perry for running CM Punk out of AEW, which good, like good. You know what I mean? Like you should be mad. You shouldn't have brought this second rate wrestler back. Like he's not good, and you let him force out the biggest bag that company's ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, and we'll see because MJF has such potential. Like he is the future of pro wrestling. But if you don't have a foil for him that's believable and money marketable, like it doesn't matter. I don't want to see a one man show. You know what I mean? Like we're supposed to get two sides of the coin here. It's not just supposed to be one guy show.
Yeah, and the
They're
top
booking
face
it so bad.
the top face that could have gone up against MJF, assuming MJF stays the heel character, which I know he's kind of playing a little bit of duality because there
Yeah,
just
he's a
isn't
tweener right now.
one
Nobody
because the
wants to
fans
boo.
just love him. Exactly. But yeah, their top face that could have challenged him and been a real good rivalry is the WWE champion. So
Right.
again, shooting themselves in the foot. And that comes back to I think, see, in my personal opinion, my professional opinion, I think CM Punk probably could have restrained himself. I think, and maybe not attacked Perry. I think Punk wanted to get fired and wanted to get released out of the contract he signed with AEW. I still firmly
I
believe, and again, this is coming from someone who really doesn't watch a lot of the AEW product because it's just not
right.
what I'm looking to watch, and I can't
It's not
connect
good.
with a lot of the guys. But I think he went in there and saw how it was run and had heard for a short time how it was in WWE, because that's all he's talked about in WWE is how the culture's changed and how he's so glad he's there to experience it because everyone tells him, man, this started because of you, and now he's there and getting to
Right.
kind of appreciate it. I think he'd heard what the locker room and the situation was like in the WWE, and he probably knew that Vince was leaving and was like, "Man, I picked the wrong company to come back for." Because I mean, he
Yeah.
left, he got fired from AEW, and within what 2 weeks
Right.
he was at Survivor Series. So, I think
Yeah.
he purposely got himself, he let Jack Perry. He knew Jack Perry was trying to run him out, and instead of kind of subduing himself and being an adult, he was like, "Okay, you guys want to play games? I'll play games." And it's the same thing that Cody Rhodes did. I mean, Cody Rhodes helped build that company, and he jumped ship.
Yes.
And look what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
over in AEW, if he was AEW World Champion, people would have been like, "Oh, he created," myself included, would have been like, "Oh man, he helped create this company just so he could get a top championship and spit in Triple H's face." But instead, he just went to the
Right.
other place and showed like, "Hey, I'm actually the guy now," and now he's just he's one of the biggest stars in wrestling.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes absolutely made himself one of the biggest stars in wrestling. Like,
Yep.
I mean, right now he is the biggest star in wrestling. Roman Reigns isn't available, so he is the biggest star in wrestling. When Roman comes back, it's Roman Reigns. I'm not a big Roman fan, but he is the biggest star in pro wrestling. There's
Yep.
no doubt about that, dude. When
I
he
agree.
shows up,
I'm the same
like
boat.
ratings go up. Like he's the
I
man.
mean,
You know what I mean? Roman really turned himself into the man.
deviating from this, but kind of highlighting that point and still on topic a little bit. Last night on SmackDown,
Mhm.
Chicago, CM Punk comes out, cuts a promo. Paul Heyman comes out, literally in Chicago, says Roman Reigns' name once, and the fans started chanting Roman Reigns. And CM Punk even said to Heyman, and I think this was 100% serious and not a joke. He goes, "Paul, you're the only guy who can interrupt one of my promos and get the crowd to start chanting for Roman Reigns." And it's just like
Right?
the fans want him. Like it got me thinking. Like I'm actually excited for Roman's return, especially with what's going on in the bloodline. And I know I'm kind of now bouncing around, but it just it
That's right.
just
We can do
highlights
that.
how
We have plenty of
it just
stuff to
highlight
cover.
yeah, it just highlights how good the WWE storytelling is right now, and how many
Now the bloodline
stories
just
there are.
added another. The
Yeah,
bloodline
Jacob
just added
Fatu.
somebody else.
Jacob Fatu
Yeah.
came
Right.
around, and he's the one that they were reports that they were afraid to bring him in so soon because they didn't want him to overshadow. I mean, everyone in that it's crazy to me because the Tama and Tongaloa. I mean, we know obviously from New Japan Pro Wrestling, they were the Gorillas of Destiny, and it's like a couple weeks ago we saw that tag team, the Gorillas of Destiny from New Japan, win a match in the WWE, and like that's the type of stuff that I feel like, AEW marks or people who are like into wrestling for the niche kind of like that's the stuff that you should be paying attention to. Is that
Right.
that's how different WWE is right now, is that they are actively signing guys from other promotions and women and letting them be who they are. And you're seeing these crazy things where 2 years ago you'd be like, you could never picture this in the WWE. And
It
now
wouldn't
Cody
happen.
Rhodes,
The
yeah, and
WWE would never ever put any. You look back at when WCW merged in with WWE, and they buried all the WCW stars.
yep,
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
they always buried because the WWE had to reign supreme. Triple H is now going with a hot hand in what makes sense booking wise, not just to
Yeah,
protect the brand, but to build the brand better. Like that's the difference. It's not just to protect the WWE; it's to make it bigger and better. Like they're doing such a good job booking. Like
yep.
I didn't care for since we didn't talk about it, the ending to the AJ Styles Cody Rhodes match. I
Yeah,
did
that
not
was
like
weak.
that.
It was very
Yeah, I
weak
did
for
not
what it
like
was.
that.
It that's
It's a bad look for AJ.
yeah.
Like, and it's like you made him this nasty heel that played the Mark Henry trick on Cody, and then he quits because of some stairs.
Yeah,
What are
it
we do?
makes
Like,
it makes that's where AEW has the advantage because they do allow for more like borderline brutality.
yeah, they do.
So like there was a match recently from AEW too that I think it was I can't remember who it was, but it was like an I Quit match that was like who got hit in the balls with a barbed wire bat, and that's what made them
Probably
quit.
was it
What?
Moxley? I think it
Yeah, it
was
was.
Moxley
Yeah,
versus
was it Kingston?
I
No, it
think it
wasn't
might have.
Kingston. Was
No,
it?
Kingston's
I
out.
mean,
I forgot who it was, but yeah, it was definitely
but
Moxley because he's doing all those
that's
crazy things.
yeah, but like that's the thing. It's like so AEW's got a match where it's basically an I Quit, where like someone quits because they got hit in the nuts with a barbed wire bat. Like, yeah,
Right,
I can believe that. Do I think it really happened? No, it was fake. But like,
right.
if suspend your belief, obviously, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But like the steel steps, man. Like I see people get thrown into that all the time, and I'm supposed to believe that this is now what AJ's like. Nah, man, nah. Like I can't do it. Like don't hit me with the Cody cutter 50 times, but not the steel steps.
Right, we see steps being used almost every week, like for the
Yep.
last 25 years. Like that's not how that match should end. Like not an I quit match for the world title with AJ getting his possibly last chance at the title.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's not how I think AJ Styles should go out. I just don't. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I didn't care for it. The other big story out of that pay per view or PLE, whatever they want to call it now,
Mm-hmm.
was the in ring mistake by Jade Cargill, where she like tapped, I guess, when she was putting a chokehold. I
Yeah.
wish I had the video. I couldn't pull up the video, but uh, that stuff happens, dude. Like, it's unfortunate that she got caught like right in the act, but it kind of happens.
Yeah, the online community is very quick to jump down her throat and basically say like this is why she shouldn't be where she is. And I mean, whatever. Like, yes, she has made a lot of mistakes. Obviously, she's still green.
She's still
Um,
really great. Yeah.
but like, I mean, like she's clearly a powerhouse. Like, if you put her and Charlotte next to each other, like
Oh yeah.
give them a week or two to like work out a match and choreograph it, and we'd probably see one of the most like meat slapping performances of like a women's match we've ever seen. Like it's just
Yeah.
two titans going against each other. So people can bash her all they want, but like if she can figure it out, she's gonna be a ridiculous talent. So I laud the WWE for just being like, you know what, like we need our ROI, like go out there and figure it out.
Right. Dude, she's gonna be a star. It's a matter of time. She made a mistake. That was like one of the most talked about things coming out of the PLE was that the way AJ Styles quit, and obviously CM Punk surprising everybody and screwing over Drew McIntyre, which I thought was masterfully done. And then they back it up again with the Friday Night SmackDown stuff and have Punk get like that's perfect to get heat on these guys, like we talked about before. What else happened on Raw this week? The big thing, obviously, the Wyatt Six finally showed up.
Finally.
Joey, you've been waiting for this forever. Like
Yeah.
you're more. I'm excited about it, but you're more excited about it. How did you feel about it?
All right, so let me start this off by saying, how dare the WWE do this in the closing moments of Game 5 of the NBA Finals? So thankfully, we just switched to YouTube TV. So I had the Celtics up on the TV in the living room, and on my phone, because I knew, obviously, we all knew that this was when they were debuting. So I had Raw. I was watching Raw for almost the entire game because Game 5 of the NBA Finals, they had almost a 20-point lead the entire time, but like the anxiety's high. So having something to take your mind off the game a little bit, really good. But like as the game was ending was when all this stuff with the Wyatt Six was happening. So I actually had to, I was like, I had to pause Raw because you can thankfully do that.
Right.
To like, because you got to soak in that Game 5 win. Like you got to soak in that championship, the final seconds, which again, go Celtics, title town. It's a nice chip. Now, granted, I'll say Celtics are kind of like my 1C when it comes to Boston sports, but I still I love basketball. I love sports in general. So it was great. Nice to see. But, back obviously on topic. So I got a chance to like kind of go through it, rewatch it. I've watched it a bunch of times. And I mean, for one, there was the rumors that they weren't going to use any supernatural stuff, which naturally kind of got me a little bit, but it makes sense because it's supposed to be like the reality era. Fine.
I like it.
Kind of felt a little supernaturally though. Like Nikki Cross comes out like the Grudge.
They did it perfectly, I think.
Yes.
Like they nailed it.
Yes.
They nailed it.
It was the perfect introduction.
But you're right. It bordered on the line of like supernatural, but it was dark. It was like almost Undertaker-esque, like that.
It was horror.
Yeah, it
was legitimate horror. And I think that if they're going to a more like PG-13 R-ish rating, which they clearly are, with some of the attire that some of the women have been allowed, kind of allowed to wear, especially Mitchin. I don't know if you've seen that, but or with the stuff with Liv, obviously
we're gonna jump into that too. Yeah.
So they're obviously leaning more into the higher ratings with some of that stuff. So I, as a not a huge horror fan, but I do enjoy horror in some aspects.
Yeah.
Why not have an aspect of your roster that's just like caters to horror fans? Like there's a ton of people who
Right.
love the horror genre. Why don't you bring that into the like? Because and Bischoff has said this, and he's not wrong, but he's like, so what are we gonna do? Have someone come out and call out the big bunny for a wrestling match? Like it's not gonna work that way. And you're right. It doesn't make sense to have these guys who practically look like they murdered a whole bunch of people in the back in Gorilla, then all of a sudden just be called out for wrestling matches. But if we're seeing more, like brutality, like what we saw with Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes and The Rock, like there's room
Right.
for a group where you don't need to give them titles. You don't need to push them to the top of the card or the mid card or tag team. Just have a group of people that have that, like, they just come out and terrorize everybody. And, I'm assuming they're going to demask. We'll probably see who they are. The masks are probably
Yeah.
going to be more of a personal, like, like whatever. And in every match they have, why not just have it some kind of like it's a Wyatt 6 stipulation match. Like, we're not going to fight you unless it's a Wyatt 6 stipulation. And it means like, it's basically turns into a hardcore match or something like that. But like, I have faith that they'll make it make sense.
I think in the short term you could do like a Wyatt 6 kind of match stuff, but eventually you're gonna need these guys they're gonna have to at least be upper mid card guys to make this believable. But they should be just a violent group for now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They
Yeah.
should just be. I don't know if you follow it at all, but like at the end of like Pat McAfee's show, I think on Thursday or might have been Friday. I think it was Thursday. The end of his show, like the lights cut out and it kind of had like the eerie music, like the Wyatt 6, and the show just went off air. And it was Pat McAfee does this all the time where he wraps himself into a storyline, like with the WWE, because his show is so big on YouTube, it attracts an audience. You know what I mean? It gets people involved, so it's good. But they didn't even touch on it the next day. They were like, "We lost power. That was weird," and blah blah. I'm imagining something is going to happen with that. You know what I mean?
Well, another big thing. Another big thing that people had that I've seen a lot in the dirt sheets in the news columns is, for weeks, all of these glitches and all this stuff has kind of been played off. Like I think like Michael Cole a week ago had kind of like they were very much like writing off all of this stuff. Like there were hints that like a massacre was coming and all this stuff, and the commentary team was writing it off. People weren't paying attention to it, like in the locker room kind of thing. It was really just the fans online in the dirt sheets that were fanning the flames. So I think the point was for everyone to kind of assume that this was like in the business wise, like the wrestlers, commentary team. I think the idea was for that group to play it off like any other old. These are vignettes of someone coming in. Ooh, scary group. Like we've seen this before, and it ended up being a kids' playhouse thing. And then the night they debut, they basically murdered people in the background, and it's like, oh, we got to take. Oh, damn! Like this is real, And supposedly like they focused in on like Chad Gable. So like apparently the people they focused in on and some of the people that like split before the show or before the show ended are like that was like done purposely. So like they're gonna be like targeted. So like Chad Gable might be targeted by the Wyatt 6, maybe Drew McIntyre gets targeted by the Wyatt 6, which could explain kind of the brutalness of how what he did to CM Punk. Maybe that draws the ire of the Wyatt 6, and maybe they let Punk. They give him another month or two to recuperate, and Drew kind of gets terrorized by this group. Like, I don't know, just spitballing at this point. But supposedly that had those type of things are supposed to be read into when it comes to who the Wyatt 6 will target in the coming weeks.
I think Jey Uso is going to be the big target coming up.
He's
happened like right after.
And that's another one. He's another one who's yeah. Yep.
I think that'll be their first target because of the Firefly stuff. You know what I mean? And he played it off perfectly. He was like, they can have them. They can have the Fireflies. I don't want no part of this.
Yep. He's like, they're there. He's like, thanks, guys, but I'm out.
Dude, those masks are so well done.
Yeah.
Like I thought they were so cool. Like they could have been corny. They could have been like one of those other cheesy things that we get. But man, they did
Oh,
a
you mean
really
like
good
Retribution?
job. Right. No, right. No, right. But like we've seen it before where WWE drops the ball on like the horror stuff, and they did not drop the ball on this one. Now you have to build on this. Like
Yes.
this can't just be the biggest thing that this group does. This has to be a footnote to what they did. Like this has to just be all right. They're gaining their ground. They just wanted everybody to know they were coming. Now they're here, and now it's on. Like this,
Yeah.
Dexter Loomis looks like $1,000,000. By the way,
Yup. Casey looks good too, to be
like,
honest.
yeah,
The only one who just looks the same is Rowan. And it's
which
funny
he's
because
just a
yeah,
monster.
but like his last run in the WWE, he had that freaking sledgehammer with him and Luke Harper, where they had the freaking sledgehammer, and it's like, go figure. Like, what does he have? A sledgehammer with writing on it. So I don't know if that was intentional or not. It probably was in this day and age because everything that Triple H is doing and that creative
Yeah,
team has a consequence. Um,
right. There's no
I'm in.
coincidences with Triple H
Yeah,
booking.
exactly. So I'm interested to see exactly what the debut was great, but they got to execute because for me, and I saw a lot of
Right,
people like What Culture Wrestling had a couple guys on talking about it, and one of the guys who like spoke on it was like, "I'm said this isn't for me. This isn't something I'm into, but
right,
I feel." And he was like, "But I feel like I'm the perfect person to speak on my feelings on it because it's not for him." And he thought the debut was great. So
right,
for me, as someone who this is for, I thought it was great. It was perfect. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be. Don't fuck it up. Like
right,
let's do this right. You started it great. This is exactly what Bray would have wanted. Don't muck
right.
it up. Let it let make the if the crowd's into it and it's hot, lean into it. Let it be weird. Let it get scary. Let it be different and edgy. Screw the ratings. Like let it be what it's going to be. And if it fails, at least they tried, but just don't water it down now that it's here.
I don't think it can fail if they keep it weird and they keep it on the more disturbing side of things.
Yeah.
I don't think it can fail because it's built up that way, and it's cool because I like seeing different things like this. Like I enjoy when the WWE does things outside the box like this. Like this is not your typical stuff. I think it'll help the ratings because again, it doesn't have to be a main event thing. Like this doesn't have to be for the title.
No.
But this is something that could have a lot of meaningful impact on your show in the mid card and the upper mid card, and it's going to be cool to see how they play this out. And I'm kind of nervous to see if Bo has kind of the same vision that Bray would have had, or like how Bo puts his spin on it and how Triple H sees it. I would imagine that they're going to bring Undertaker in to help like book some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it would make sense to have him produce some of it, maybe.
So
I
the
mean,
biggest question I have is so like I said that like some of the people that they specifically zeroed in on in the back in Gorilla were like people that may be targeted later on. And Chad Gable was one of them. So he obviously didn't win the Intercontinental Championship, but he was just re-signed. So I'm wondering
yes.
if instead of giving him the title, at least now, they're going to do, but see, they can't waste the Otis turn on him. But I'm wondering if they're going to have this group kind of terrorize Chad Gable for how much of an asshole he's been to Otis, Maxine, and Tozawa as kind of like a
I don't know if
I
it's
don't
going to
like
have
an
anything to do
anti-hero.
with them. I don't know if it'll have anything to do with them or anything to do with anybody. Like the Drew McIntyre stuff, I think they're just going to target people and maybe for a reason,
Yeah,
maybe not for a reason, maybe just because they can. You know what I mean? Maybe that's
yeah,
just they keep seeing these people on TV, so this is who they're going to target. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like that could be the
yeah,
route. Like it's going to be interesting to see like which route they go with this cuz I mean they got my attention
yeah,
tenfold with how they did, like
100%.
with how they debuted. Like it's going to be it's a weird dynamic because when you talk about groups, you always have like the one leader, and then you have like a tag team, and then a mid card guy and a
Yep.
female. Like that's just usually how it works, and it'll just be interesting to see who's who because you would imagine that Bo Dallas is going to be the leader, obviously with Uncle Howdy, and where does Dexter Loomis fall in? Where do all the, you know what I mean? Like, where does
Yeah.
Rowan go? Like, I'm excited, dude. I can't wait to see more stuff from this.
Yeah.
This is because it's always fun to have like the supernatural feel to it. Like when Bray was there and Taker was there and Kane was doing his thing. Like even the, you know what I mean? Even Papa Shango back in the early '90s, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it was just,
The
it's
boogeyman.
always a right. It's always been a part of wrestling, and it's like it's either cheesy or it's done really well. This looks like it's going to be one of those ones that like captures everybody's attention and is done really well.
Yeah.
I
And
hope.
and this is what I think AEW misses the mark on is that, professional wrestling in this sense, because in honesty, professional wrestling is what's in the Olympics, right? So that this is, sports entertainment. And
Right.
it's great that, I like the reality era that we're kind of in because it everything it makes more sense, but it's still like I'm still tuning in to be entertained. And
Yes.
this is something that's been lacking is like it's cinema. And I've heard that a lot. Like that was cinema. Like the shot that they
Yeah.
used where it's, Nikki Cross pointing to the back and telling the camera, like, go look what's happening, like go check. And you have the camera that's following in, and it's just, they see Uncle Howdy, and then Howdy walks through and he, collects
Yep.
one, he collects two, and they go out. Like it was done so well. And it's cinema, that's entertainment, that's television. You sometimes need, like, it's not real wrestling, so sometimes you do need
Right.
this this change of pace, this different I don't know, this like just something different, something new. And
Right.
I said it before, but I think a horror aspect to wrestling, especially because there hasn't been a real one in so long, I think could also bring more eyes to people who are just into horror.
Yeah, very well could. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm playing around with my microphone. Um, this thing drives me nuts. But I'm just excited to see how I want to see what their first storyline is, like, and what route that goes.
Yeah.
Because it's cool to do, like, it's cool for the vignettes and like all this other stuff, and like to come out and just beat the crap out of a bunch of people and leave them, in a bloody mess and pretty much dead. You know what I mean? But now what? Like, what's your purpose for being in the WWE?
Yeah.
That's gonna be now. It's okay. We're gonna fulfill Bray's legacy. Perfect. Now, but what is that? Like, what's the
Yeah.
end goal? You know what I mean? Like to terrorize
Yeah.
WWE. Okay, what does that look like? It's the storyline progression is going to be fun, and that's like I hate to keep. I'm not going to keep harping on them, but that's what AEW misses the most, and
Hmm.
it's the lack. It's the lack of storytelling because you can watch a 5-star match, you can watch a 4-star match, and it's great, but not every match on a card can be like that. Like you need stuff like the Wyatt Six, and
Yeah.
you need like goofy stuff, and you need other stuff to keep people's attention and to grab the masses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Because
so.
like I only want to watch Osprey and Brian Danielson. Like I get it, 5-star match, 4-star match, it's great, and they are great matches. But if there's no great storytelling behind it, if we're
Right.
just kind of putting these two together because we know they can have a great match, like that's great. But like, give me more. Like I'm if I need I would like to be entertained. I grew up in the early '90s, the mid '90s of WWE, where it was more entertainment than anything else. So why can't I have entertainment and great wrestling at the same time? Why can't we
Right.
do both?
We should be able to do both. It should be. It's it'll be interesting to see how they play this out. It'll be the WWE is going to do a good job with it. I feel like it'll be fun. I don't want to keep shitting on AEW because they're just doing a good job themselves of it. You know what I mean? Like just bring somebody in on it. Like bring somebody in to help with the booking.
Get
That's
a
all I want.
booker. Get a booker.
That's all you have to do is just get a booker. Like please just get a booker and help out. Like the fantasy booking thing isn't working. Like this is a chat room. I heard Eric Bischoff say this. It's a chat room booking style, and it doesn't
You
work
think
long term.
you think that's what Shane McMahon wanted to do and why he was reaching out to talent to see if he could join?
I like how you brought that up. Do you believe that Shane McMahon was in contact with AEW?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
Yes, I do. 100%.
Now, why? Why do you think he would?
So I am going to guess one, the last time he was in the WWE, I mean, he was basically embarrassed. He had the awful showing at the Royal Rumble where he inserted himself into a Royal Rumble that was heavily reported he produced. It was overproduced. It was a bad. It was one of the worst Rumbles, and his spot was bad. And then he comes out again. I forget how long or when that next. I think it might have been WrestleMania was the spot where he comes out for no reason for a dumb match and literally like father like son blows both of his quads instantly, and it was like you could see it happen and you knew it. And so he I feel like he kind of became like a laughing stock or a joke when it comes to the WWE because of how bad he was trying, how bad he was at producing, which they were letting him do. The fact he was inserting himself, he won that the best in the world tournament. Like, let's be real, man. So, in my opinion, with Vince gone, even Stephanie, like she's kept a clean, no, there's really never been issues with Stephanie, and she's married to the now COO or I think he's the COO. So obviously,
Yeah.
she's in the background, but she's still around. But even she had the WrestleMania spot. She's gone. She's not back. They just brought her out to bring her out. Shane's probably not going to make an appearance for WWE anytime soon. So it's possible he has ideas. He wants to get back into it. His dad's not looking to build a new company or is still far away from it. And he sees an opportunity with AEW that he thinks he could maybe help prop up a company that's been awfully booked, bring his ideas, and then help build a competitor to the company that basically pushed his entire family out when that family built the company, which they needed to go. I mean, everyone has their day. But I think there's a lot of legitimacy to the story.
I just don't. I mean, maybe as an in-ring talent and stuff like that, I just don't see him stepping into a backstage kind of role.
Well, I don't think they did either, and it's why
Yeah.
he's not there. But I think he did try to bring his services to them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's possible.
You
You know
know,
what I mean? It is really possible. The other big story that just came out was that Triple H said no to bringing back the Hurt Business. I don't know if you saw that. That I saw this
no, I
dropped
haven't seen
earlier.
that at all.
This dropped last night. Somebody tweeted at MVP saying that they should bring back the Hurt Business now, and he said Triple H said no.
Hmm.
So I like that idea. Don't bring it back. Like we don't have to keep rehashing stuff. Like let's move
Yeah.
forward. Let's move forward and try something new rather than try to rehash something and see if we can make it work. Because it worked a little bit, but it floundered a lot. The Hurt Business did. I mean, they gained traction at some point, but I don't think it was what they set out for it to be at first.
Well, if Bobby Lashley's not going to be at the top of the card, I don't think it matters, So the reason the Hurt Business worked was because Bobby Lashley was WWE champion. And you
Yes.
had the WWE champion with Shelty B and Cedric were tag team champions during that as well.
Yes, they
But
were.
they had fire, but if the top guy in the faction isn't going to be at the top of the card, or because I haven't seen Lashley actually in a while, to be honest, I haven't actually.
Yeah, I think
He's
he
been
had some
kind of
time off
MIA.
coming.
So I could understand them not wanting to bring back, especially because now it's funny because I remember talking about this many moons ago in a different light. How one thing the AEW did that was killing the WWE was their ability to create factions and good factions, and how the WWE had almost abandoned that idea and hadn't done anything like that for years. And now it's like there's almost too many factions in the WWE. There's too many groups. There's too much going on. So that could be it as well. Triple H just looked at it and was like, it's too convoluted. I don't want to have to write this. I feel like they're planned and they have a majority of their storylines written
They
probably
do.
through Survivor Series. So, that's probably could be another reason why he vetoed it, because he just didn't feel like having to rewrite stories to bring in another group.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. That's not really their style to have that many factions. Like that's more of a New Japan kind of style booking with like a ton of factions and then everybody gets involved because it's
Well,
easier
that's
to
what they
book
did in the
that way.
early 90s. That's what
Yeah.
they did in the early 90s. They had a ton of factions and they went away from it for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, exactly. But it's now. I mean, that's what AEW tried to do for a while. That's because that is like a Japan style booking to
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
factions because you could just get anybody involved in any storyline pretty much if you have a
Yeah.
bunch of factions. You know what I mean?
but
It's easier to
but it has worked in the WWE so well.
yeah, it has. But I just don't see that faction working. And maybe he's trolling
No,
people and they
yeah.
will bring it back when Lashley comes back, but you just never know. It was cool to see Triple H said no to something like that, and just because I want to see them move on forward from it. I don't want to see, like I said, I don't want to keep seeing everything. That and Caleb Braxton, I guess, resigned today from the WWE.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting. I don't have a huge opinion on it because I'm assuming she probably had, maybe her contract was up or she has another offer that she wants to pursue. But that does suck because she has been great for the company in a backstage role, announcing,
Yes.
in the stadium as well. With the I don't know what you call it, ring announcer, I guess. Um, and it's especially if they also lost. Ricochet's wife. Why can't I think of her name off the top of my head? Um,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, and it's gonna bother me, and I apologize that I'm forgetting her name. But if they're losing Kayla and her as well, that
I don't
is
think it's not JoJo, is it? Not JoJo. What's her name?
no JoJo's Bray's wife.
The girl
Um,
that's doing the ring announcing right now.
yeah. Well,
They're not
she's
going to
not.
lose her.
It's a new person doing that. That's been calling for Raw and SmackDown because after Ricochet was
Yeah,
beaten up
she went
by
out.
yeah, and she hasn't been back. And there were rumors that if he left WWE, she was going with him. So it's a whole thing. So I'm
I don't think
hoping
she
it's not
would.
true.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's
I
not true because she's phenomenal at her job. But it would suck if
I'm
they lose her
imagining
and
that
Kayla.
I'm imagining that she's just taking some time off because he has some time off right now. You know what I mean?
My best guess is Ricochet is also re-signing with the WWE,
Oh
and
yeah.
that they're doing an AEW angle where it's like, oh, I'm not re-signing, I'm going somewhere else. And then in 3 months, Braun Breaker's the Intercontinental Champion, and who's going to step up to him? And here comes Ricochet's music, and he comes down, and maybe he gets one over on Braun. Who knows? But
Can
I
we talk
think
about
that's
Braun
what's gonna
Breaker for a second?
happen.
I love Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
I I am all in on Braun Breaker, dude. I think he is the best. Like he very believable. He's got a lineage. You know what I mean? Like he's got everything that I like. Like maybe the microphone skills aren't great, but I like when he does like the Steiner math and then barks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, but he's a monster, dude. He's huge. He's believable, and he's just fast,
Yeah.
athletic. Like he's fun to watch. Like he's
So
the
on
total package.
was it this past Raw where Giovanni Vinci I think it's Vinci. It could be the other guy. I get those two mixed up all the time. But whoever Sheamus is in a feud with, came out and interfered in the match with Sheamus and whoever he was wrestling. I forget who it was, and or it might have been Sheamus and Breaker. I forget exactly what was going on. I just remember Breaker comes in, takes everybody out. Vinci comes in from the crowd, takes out Sheamus. Match is disqualified. Braun's walking up the ramp. Vinci comes up the ramp. And out of nowhere, Vinci turns around. He starts running like he's going to go after Sheamus again. And Breaker just stops and he's like, you know what, motherfucker? And he starts running the opposite direction and
It
just
takes him out, dude.
murders him, dude. Oh, I mean, it wasn't a great spear, but still, like, they were both running full speed and he just took him down. It was
Dude,
fantastic.
Braun looked so fast when he did that,
Yeah.
dude. It was unreal. I'm a big Brock Lesnar guy, and he just reminds me a lot of Brock because of his freakish athletic ability. And like,
Yeah. He's just
he's
a little
so,
smaller.
yeah, he's just so explosive. Like,
Yep.
they really know and they know what they have with him. He's going to get a push, and they're building him up to like not let him fail because they don't want to make him like a Goldberg. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
he's the next Intercontinental Champion.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, which will be fun to watch because he's just some of the matches he can have with people will be like,
Yeah,
oh,
and he's gonna run the division like Gunther did for a while.
yeah.
And then obviously he'll lose a title to somebody, whatever, maybe
him
Ricochet, but
versus
yeah.
him versus Gunther would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting match.
That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Two
I think
two fast, just big hulking pounds of flesh. It'd be fantastic.
be an old school WWE match with the Titans just wrestling each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would be. I was watching him this week and I was like, this dude is just the complete package. Like he's got everything. Like he
Yeah.
has everything you want. Who was that did you see that NXT star that debuted this week?
Um, is
I'm
it
gonna murder his name.
the Hendry something Hendry? Or are
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
talking
pull up.
about
Yeah,
all? Or are you talking about the guy from AEW, All Ego?
no, not him.
Okay, so yeah, it
Yeah,
was Joe Hendry, I think, right? Is that who you're?
yeah. Joe Hendry was yeah,
Yeah,
and I guess Joe Hendry right here. I was trying to look up the numbers because they said his his Joe Hendry's debut tops over 7 million viewers on Twitter. Like he just had a song go like I guess huge over in Europe or in the UK, whatever it was, and his debut is now exploding all over the internet. And he's like, they're like, oh, this could be like the next big thing for the WWE too, like a crossover star that they haven't had in a
yep,
while. Like he looks like $1 million. He looks like a real deal.
yeah.
He I don't know that much about him because I don't watch NXT. So what I just saw some clips and I was like, oh, this does look interesting. Like I'm probably gonna check out NXT.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
The NXT has some juice, and they're gonna do a lot of crossover work with TNA
Oh,
and
yeah,
NXT, which I think is gonna introduce like the Hardys coming over to NXT,
I think
maybe
so too.
winning NXT Gold for a couple weeks before giving it up, giving them kind of the opportunity to, kind of go out in the WWE like they wanted to.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of cool things I think happening with NXT just on the whole, because there is a lot
Yeah.
of good talent. Like for me, I love Trick Williams, and I think that he's going to be a bigger star on the main roster than Carmelo Hayes. And honestly, I think Trick Williams is what AEW wishes Swerve Strickland is or was. And it's so I look forward to seeing what he gets to do. But yeah,
Swerve Strickland is such a bad champ for them. He's so boring.
yeah, I said it. I said it when it happened. Like nothing against the guy. I just,
And I want this to be known too. Will Ospreay is not a better option. He is. I know he's saying he's the best in the world and he's all this stuff. Like he's not original. He's very boring, and he just does flashy moves with no storytelling in the ring. He is not. I cannot stand Will Ospreay. Like I
I,
can't.
and this is where we're gonna get roped back into just trashing AEW, which sucks because eventually, like, I just don't. And especially coming from me, like, I have very much shit on AEW since we've been doing this.
Yeah.
But like, the best in the world thing bothers me because if we're
Right.
being honest, the best wrestlers in the world are either in New Japan or they're in the WWE.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, but AJ Styles, CM Punk,
Right. Yeah.
Cody Rhodes, and I will say Cody Rhodes is up there.
He has to
Like,
be.
yeah, like these
Yes.
guys, they're all. I mean, even Finn Balor can put some really good matches on. Not saying he's the best in the world, but he's better than a majority of the roster that AEW has, which is unfortunate. Like, yeah, there's still some guys over in AEW that are very good, but I just don't think like the
Not the
best in
best
the
in the
world's
world.
great, but you're
You're not
not.
even the best in AEW.
Yeah,
That's MJF. Like,
yeah,
and I'm not saying MJF had the match that he had with Roosh. I think they're saying it's Roosh. It's spelled like Rush or whatever. Was a hard hitting match, and it had a lot of errors in it, but it was like a really good above average match. You know what I mean? Like for an MJF match, it was good. MJF's not known in the ring, like as
yeah.
like a Daniel Bryan type guy. But what he does so well is storytelling in the ring. He's one of the few in
Mhm,
that company that can do it. And he does it well. That match was good, but like you're not even on MJF's level. You just do a bunch of flashy moves.
mhm.
It's not for me. It's not my style. You know what I mean? Like that might be today's internet style, but it's not for me. I don't like it. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
want to like AEW. Like I desperately try to like AEW. Like I love the Young Bucks. I like what they're doing. Like I thought it was cool. They had Max Caster and his tag team partner come out and they were going to wrestle the Young Bucks, and you know how he raps coming out to the
mhm,
they cut his mic and the Bucks were like, "Oh no, what
yep.
happened? Oh no!" And I was like, "That's good. That's like a cheap way to get heat, but it's like so effective." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like more stuff like that. Like do more stuff like that, please. Like
Yeah, and for me too, like I mean, I might never end up being a fan of AEW or watching the program, but I want it to succeed solely for the fact that it makes the WWE better. Like the
Right.
idea of the AEW existing, one means that wrestlers are going to get paid more, which is deservedly so. There's more options for people to go. So it means people don't have to feel stuck with the WWE, maybe where they don't morally like it or just feel comfortable. They can go somewhere else and get paid and still be able to work. And it just makes everything better. Like just the more options make everything better.
Right.
So I want them to succeed. I want the stories to do well. I would like a reason to at least tune in for the end of the show to be like, oh, like
Yeah.
this is a good this is a good match. This is a good story. I want to tune in for it. But it's been floundering. I mean, and their ratings are dropping. It kind of sucks.
It does suck. It sucks real bad because they have, like we talk about all the time with them, it's like they have a very talented roster, but they have no guidance. Like
Yeah.
it's just there is no direction for that show at all. And that's what will kill. I want to watch. I was going to talk to you about this off air, but we'll bring it up now. There is a documentary out there. I think it's maybe a 5-potter or a 3-potter, whatever it is. And it's Who Killed WCW.
Yeah, I've seen
And
this pop up a lot.
I want to watch it, and I think we should talk about it because it's supposed to be really good. I was listening to
Okay.
Bischoff talk about it and break it down, and it sounded like they cover a lot of ground on that thing. Like,
Yeah,
they
I've seen a
cover
lot
a
about
lot.
Nash's interview. I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
not a lot of news reported about Nash's interview and some of the things that he said and talked about and the way he
Right.
acted in the documentary. So I've been meaning to check it out myself. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. I'm like excited to see it. They're killing it with all these documentaries. All these wrestling documentaries are so amazing.
Yeah.
Another before we jump, before we jump to like the last big topic the Liv Morgan stuff.
Yeah.
That is getting really edgy. Like it's getting 1990s esque. I guess
Yes.
I would say.
But
Right?
but like not to the point where you're like, wow, they're really like demeaning or demoralized. Like because back
No,
in the
right.
90s, they demeaned women for the better to
Yes.
it's just like that right bit of like I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to say it in a somewhat family friendly way. But it's just like there's just those little things where you're
Unfortunately,
like,
in today's world, sex sells.
yes, yes,
So you need for a company like that, like to grab the market that they're looking for, like the 28 to 34 region of men. You need to
yeah.
have more risky material, I guess, would say, to grab the attention of guys that age. I think that'd be the almost politically correct way to
Well,
say
like
it.
the best part about this whole thing is that there's still the element of like Finn Balor in some way
Yep.
is has something to do with this. I don't know if I don't feel like I talked about this on the last show because I think it happened since the last show. But there was the whole episode where Liv gave Dom her hotel key card and was like, "Oh, here's my card. I'll be waiting for you." And there were
Right.
multiple segments of Raw where they were talking about the key card and who had it, what was going on. And
And
at
way to
one
go.
point, they all go to put their hands in, and you just see Finn slap his hand on the table, grab the key card, put it in his pocket, and they take off. And it wasn't
Right.
mentioned again, and nobody saw it. So it's like those are the little things where it's like,
It's gonna pop up eventually.
yes, like is Finn working with Liv to push
Mhm.
Dom to do something to cause Rhea Ripley to that? Like it's just the fractures in the Judgment Day, but
Is
it's
he
such
trying to break up the
mutually
Judgment Day without
yes.
breaking up the Judgment Day? Yeah.
Because again, you got to keep in mind too, Finn Balor is basically being played as a lackey to
Right.
Damian Priest, and
Right.
in reality, at least from a Finn Balor fan perspective, Finn Balor ain't a fucking lackey. Like
He's not. He's a star.
yes. So
Yeah.
I think
He's a star.
like that's kind of what we're working to as well as Finn wants to break the group up, go on his own, fracture, you know what I mean? Do something. That's why I'm hoping that maybe the reason Drew McIntyre didn't get the World Heavyweight Championship is because maybe, just maybe, there'll be a match at SummerSlam between Finn and Damian Priest
How do
for
you
the
feel about
soul of the Judgment Day.
the Seth Rollins Damian Priest match coming up at Money in the Bank?
I mean, how does Seth not win that? You know?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean
unless the
that's a hell
Judgment
of a
Day
question.
interferes. But like him coming back, especially now, to me, like I thought it was weird because like
Yeah,
Becky Lynch just left. Maybe it's a thing they're doing. Seth stayed at home for 3 months with the new baby. Well, not new baby, but with the baby, got some home
yeah.
some time. Now maybe it's the opposite. Becky's going to stay home a lot longer. Seth's going to do the work. He's going to be out on the road. I don't know. It seems very soon to me. And
Yeah, he came back really quick.
Yeah. And I actually completely forgot about this. I'm surprised we haven't even mentioned it yet, that he let off Raw coming back.
Right. Yeah.
But how does he not win unless there's like massive interference from the Judgment Day, which could lead into the story of Damian Priest.
P.S. Just
Want
so everybody doesn't think that I just trash AW, that Seth Rollins and Damian Priest segment was awful.
it was
It was
terrible.
awful. It was awful. That's where the WWE strikes out, is when they do long promos like that. Like, I do not want that. I don't want that.
But it's because of Damian Priest, though, and I like him as like a talented performer.
I don't know. Rollins too. Sometimes when he gets on the mic, it's just a long, drawn out promo that I don't give a crap about.
Yeah, because he's in that weird like sort of Joker character thing, and he just says, "Yeah,
it's a weird. It's just weird."
Yeah,
I don't get the direction of his character, and like I just don't.
It's like he's playing the Joker from the Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker. You know, like it's not quite like the Batman Joker, but he's still kind of a weird psycho who just is just odd and eccentric. I don't know.
It's just a weird gimmick, and I don't like it, and I don't like Damian Priest either. So like I didn't care. It's not that I don't like Damian Priest. I just don't think he's world championship material.
I don't like the gimmick he's playing with the Judgment Day. I think it's just weird, and it's
I think
not
he's stuck in a really bad spot right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
and
this isn't the final act of his character, but right now where he's at, he shouldn't be world champ, because I don't think they have a pure direction for Damian Priest's character, and it looks like that.
Yeah, and again, it's maybe why they asked Rollins to come back early to give him a little, to tread water until SummerSlam for maybe a Judgment Day implosion. Because I'm probably wrong, because I've been wrong a lot, but that I feel like has to be the direction now, where he's not going to lose the title unless it's to someone in Judgment Day, because that would be the ultimate kind of
what if
Judgment Day implosion.
What if Finn wins the Money in the Bank, and then Damian Priest loses the title to Seth Rollins and he cashes in?
Yeah, that could be it too.
And now he's at the head of the table of the Judgment Day, and Damian Priest isn't happy.
Yeah, but Damian Priest also can't complain because it wasn't, like Finn didn't cash in on Damian Priest. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's like a weird scenario.
That could be. That's good storytelling.
Something that I was thinking of when I was looking at the Money in the Bank stuff. And big surprise, actually, did it happen on SmackDown? I think it happened on SmackDown, where Bianca Belair lost her Money in the Bank qualifying match. Not only did she lose it, it's who she lost it to.
Yeah.
That was like the most surprising out of anything, dude. It was like it shocked everybody.
Yeah, like, there's something there.
You think so?
I feel like, well, I think that, like, because they had Jade Cargill come out and kind of like give her like a little speed, like, pump her up and talk to her. And I'm wondering if, like, I don't know, like maybe she's going to say, Jade got, maybe that's how they're kind of starting the fracture between these two friends to make a feud or something. I don't know.
Who, why am I'm drawing a blank on her name? The girl that won, Ryder's wife. Beat Bianca. I can't think of her name.
Hold on.
I'm drawing a blank. It's been a long week at work, dude. It's been a very long week at work. It's hot weather. It's tough. It's tough doing the type of work I do in this weather. But it's oh my goodness. I'm gonna space out her name.
That's fine. Hold on. I'll get in a second. Oh, Chelsea Green.
Chelsea, yeah. So I think it was more a pat on the back to Chelsea Green than it was a shot at Bianca. Like,
yeah,
Chelsea lost so many matches and was like doing the best she could with the character she was given. And
she's done great. She's funny as hell.
She would actually be a fun Money in the Bank title holder.
Yeah,
she would be annoying.
I could see it. It's 100% possible, because she's the type of worker who gets that moment. Yeah. Nikki Cross was the same way. Liv Morgan, when she got her title run. Carmella, exactly. Those are the type of workers that kind of get the
And it
the
works
bump at
because
some
she
point.
could hold the briefcase for so long and just
Yeah.
annoy everybody with it. You know what I mean?
And she doesn't need to
And sh
wrestle a great match. She just needs to
and she
be
doesn't need
perfectly
to
up to.
even win the cash in for the character to
Yeah,
work.
that's true too.
It does
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not, like, expected that she wins the title. It would shock people if she did cash in successfully. Like, it
Yeah.
could go either way with the title thing. You sometimes when you get the Money in the Bank, briefcase, it's like, "Alright, well, they're gonna hold the title then." Somebody like that, it's like, "Ooh, that's like a 50-50 shot." Like, it's not a guarantee.
I'm convinced now that Chelsea Green's going to win the Money in the Bank because she's the perfect character to just like be dead the entire time. Someone
Right.
sets up a ladder in the middle of the
She gets the
match and
title.
then gets knocked off it, and all of a sudden here comes Chelsea Green climbing up the ladder. You know what I mean? It's perfect. It writes itself.
Right. Right, and then her holding the briefcase, like I said, is just easy writing for that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
fits right into her character. And it would make sense for the women's division because you have all these contenders that you could throw in there anyway. Why not give her an outsider's chance at that title?
Yeah, even give her a couple weeks with the title. Give her a month. You know, like she doesn't have to
Right.
hold it for that long. You know what I mean?
And just
Like,
her holding the briefcase puts her in the title picture and elevates her.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Automatically elevates her. You know
And
what I
she
mean?
doesn't have to win any match either, but as long as she still has the briefcase, there's always that little chance.
There's a
Yeah,
little
that's good.
outside
Yeah.
chance she could cash in. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, it'll be interesting to see how they play it out because, like, the men's can go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
CM Punk could come back and win the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
CM Punk could go in the Money in the Bank and be right there for the briefcase, and Drew McIntyre comes in and screws him over after he quit.
Yep. Yep.
Like, this could be a back and forth that we get for a long time where they just keep screwing each other over at big opportunities. Or he cashes in and Drew McIntyre screws him on the cash in like he did.
And he loses it. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, it's very interesting. There's a lot of storylines being weaved in and out of the Money in the Bank this year. And
The
I'm kind
WWE
of here
has
for
put
it.
themselves in a position where they have so many guys and so many girls at the top of the cards that could actually get a rub to get a title match or
Yeah.
get the Money in the Bank, and it's just perfectly done. This is when it's fun because you don't know who's going to win. It's not
Come to
like
think of it too, wouldn't the perfect cash in for Chelsea Green be against Liv? Like Rhea Ripley returns and just obliterates Liv, and then here comes Chelsea Green running along
with
you know
that
what I
annoying
mean?
voice. Cash it in!
Yeah. And I mean, Rhea's not going to care because then Rhea is going to be like, cool. So I'm just going to wipe the floor with Chelsea Green in a couple weeks and get my title back.
Right.
You know, like that. Like,
I'm hooked on Sunny D, by the way.
nice. Taking it back to like 1998.
Dude, I went to the dollar store here to grab I think it was just like some like freezer stuff, like some stir fry stuff. And I saw Sunny D and I was like, ooh, I haven't had that in a while. And I was like, ooh, I want it. You know what I mean?
And now
The little pleasures.
Yeah. And now a gallon later, you're like, damn, I kind of want another gallon.
Right. And that's exactly where I'm at. It's like I've been drinking this for like a few hours and I'm like, you know what? I might have to go get some more. Like, I might have to go get some more Sunny D. But I think the Chelsea Green stuff is really interesting in the way that the men's, because you could have, like I said, Finn Balor win it. You could have CM Punk come back, Drew McIntyre. You could have AJ Styles even win it. You could have
Jey Uso.
And Jey Uso. Any number of these guys.
He just won his match.
Right. Could conceivably win. Like, or it could go to the bloodline and Solo has it.
Yeah. And Solo ends up getting the title from Cody Rhodes.
Right. And then Roman comes back.
The speculation now is that Solo and Cody Rhodes will go at it for the WWE Championship, and Roman will come back to screw over Solo. That's the heavy speculation that I've seen online.
I like that. I'm not against that.
Because I mean, we're around the time that Roman's expected to be coming back. I mean, it was roughly SummerSlamish that he was going to come back. So,
right. I can't wait for Roman to come back, and I don't think I've ever honestly thought that before.
I can't wait to see the original Bloodline reunite to then have a civil war against the new Bloodline.
You think that's what's going to happen?
It's gotta be. I mean, what else? You know what I mean? Like, what else? It's going to be The Rock and the new Bloodline, Roman, maybe Rikishi, the Uso. You know what I mean? Like there's so many.
Yeah.
Even just that story in and of itself, that faction has a story that's written for the next 12 months almost. Just in
Yeah.
possibilities with what they're doing. Like it's crazy.
Man, they can go so many different ways with everything that
Yeah.
they booked. It's so much
Yes.
fun. It's fun to be a wrestling fan right now.
Yes. There's so
But
much great stuff going on.
so Joey, what I talked to you about before and we were texting, what I want
Yes.
to do, and I'm gonna explain it to the listeners. This is gonna be the last segment that we do before we sign off. Just a little bonus thing that's fun for us and should be fun for the listeners too. I want to do an 8-man tournament. Not exactly March Madness, but 8 tag teams that we think are the best of all time. And then next week we'll start off with a couple. We'll do like 2 matchups or whatever, and we'll do the Bret Hart scale where we rank them 1 to 10 on their in-ring ability, on their look, and their promos, or if they have a manager, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like those 3 categories, and then we tally up their total score, and then whoever has the higher total score moves on to the next round, and then until we get to the winner. Let's go with your first tag team, and then I'll give you my first tag team.
All right. So when you had proposed this to me, the only issue not issue, but I think thing that comes up for me is that my tag teams are going to be tag teams that I watched wrestle. So like I know the Rock and Roll Express, and there's probably better tag teams that someone could argue, and you're not wrong. But just hear me out. Just like people will always say Joe Montana was better than Tom Brady. Exactly.
No, this is what we've seen. Yeah, this is what we've witnessed and who we think is the greatest, like that.
So this is also very biased, but I don't think a lot of people would disagree. My first tag team is obviously the Hardy Boys.
I thought you were going to go there.
There's honestly almost no better tag team who's done it for as long as those two gentlemen have had success in as many different promotions and organizations.
You want to know my number one?
Yeah, I think I got it. Oh, okay. That was my number 2. All right.
I had to put the Dudley. I had to put them at number 1 just because of all their success.
Yeah, 100%. And when you think of the look, the characters, catchphrases, promo, everything. Yeah. Yep. 100%.
They put it all together and they were fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
who do you have for your number 2 seed?
Well, so now I'll have to.
Oh yeah, they never like really. They did split up in TNA a little bit.
Well, then there was Devon who did the testify, like when he became the Reverend.
Well, not only that, in TNA they did it too. They split up and they had a couple matches.
Split.
Everybody knows the Dudleys were together, and it was always fun that way. Mm-hmm. But who's your number 2? Give me a number 2.
So honestly, I mean, and this is recency bias, but I think again you have a really hard time arguing against this. The New Day.
Oh, I didn't even have them on my list. That's a good one. They had a lot of success.
I guess technically you could say it's kind of a 3 whatever it's a group, but they have I think the most tag team championships, and we'll argue this next week, but I think you have to mention them with the work that they've done.
That's very fair. That's like very, very fair. I went early 90s, early mid 90s. I went with the Hart Foundation.
Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah.
First of all, it's me, and then second, I couldn't leave them out just because of how they were so perfect for their time frame. They were perfect because Brett is not a big guy. Anvil was a powerhouse of a guy.
Yep.
And they did all the tag team moves together, and they were just perfect. They were
straight from the Heart Dungeon.
Right. They were just great. Who do you have for your 3?
So this is one that I'll save my 4th because I don't think you're gonna probably pick them either. So my 3rd one is like the pivot because you took the Dudleys from me, and it's again not recency bias, but it's still not an older. Well, it's an older tag team, but the greatest entrant, one of the greatest entrances of all time, one of the greatest guys on the mic, some of the greatest names of all time. But it's got to be the New Age Outlaws.
Oh, Road Dogg, yes, dude. I was
Road Dogg. That was my Billy Gunn, man. Yeah, good. I'm glad I could steal one from you.
That was my number 3, but I had a backup, and I know they're forgotten about. And again, it's another '90s tag team, but in '80s too. But I remember watching them and just being so infatuated with them. Oh, what a
Yep, yep. I
rush,
knew you were
dude!
gonna say. I knew you were gonna say them. I
Gotta
knew it.
go with the Legion of Doom. Like the
Yep.
Legion of Doom. Talk about
Talking
tag teams that
animal.
sold arenas out, dude. They were
Yes, and
selling. They were the main event. Like they were so good, and they covered such a wide variety of time. Like from when they came out to like when they were still big. I mean, LOD 2000 was a thing. Like these
yeah.
guys, the big match for the New Age Outlaws that put the New Age Outlaws on the map was their match at the Royal Rumble 1997 with Legion of Doom. And it was like a dumpster match or something like that. But like
Hmm.
what a match! Like they had like a series of matches with them that like was just great, and they passed the torch tag team wise to the New Age Outlaws during that time frame, and it was so cool to watch. Like, oh man! But I love my brother was obsessed with the Legion of Doom when we were growing up too, and they were just so good and so much fun to watch, dude. They were
That's a
like some
great
of the
pick.
greatest of all time. Like, go ahead with your four. I know you're not going to pick my four, and it's a sleeper because they should be a number one seed. Like they should
So,
be.
uh,
But good.
this is
There's so
also
many.
recency
We
bias.
could have went to 16.
Yeah,
We could have went
we
to
could have
16
done.
easily.
We could have done this all night. This is recency
Yeah.
bias, but I'm going by another team that I think carried the WWE in the tag team division over the last 10 years in this new age where tag team wrestling has kind of been forgotten about.
Yep.
Oh, wait, you can't see it. Welcome to the Uso Penitentiary.
Oh.
It's the Usos, man. They are so talented together. Two brothers that have been wrestling with each other for their entire lives and just get to do it as a tag team. They've been phenomenal. They've had so much success. They're now having some success on their own. They're going to be one of the best tag teams that we see in the 2000s.
So I had a tough time. Like trying to narrow it down to four is like extremely tough.
Yes.
Like we're gonna leave teams off. We're gonna leave teams off that shouldn't be. Harlem Heat should not be left off any list.
No,
like
that's
I
true.
just want like
Dude, the Rock and
they should be
Sock
mentioned.
connection shouldn't be left off.
Right. Like they should be mentioned at least. Like you have Harlem Heat, you have the Rocket Sock. That was fun. Like there's so many great
The Brothers of
tag teams
Destruction.
that-
Like I'm actually surprised I didn't go with them, but that's
I
they didn't
thought for sure they were going to be on your list. Like Edge and Christian should be on a list somewhere. Like they were great. Like there's so dude, like it's so tough to like. But I have to go because of their impact on the business. Just a whole, they changed the business, dude. The Outsiders, National Hall.
Yeah.
I had like they were just so they changed the game. Like that, and not that I think they're better than every other tag team out there, but like I said, I just felt like I didn't want to just go all old school guys and all this stuff, but I wanted some. They changed like all the teams that we've named had like a significant impact on the business itself. Like the Hardys changed, like the Hardys and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian changed the '90s tag team wrestling because it was dead in the water.
Yep,
they were dead in the water. The New Age Outlaws brought it to a new generation too. You know what I mean? Like they were the in between LOD and the Dudleys and all those guys. They were the team that carried the torch for that. You know, like the Hall Foundation was so much fun. Like the Usos carried the divisions in the mid 2000s. Like, and I just feel like the Outsiders when they went to WCW completely flipped everybody on their head. Like,
they changed the promotion.
Such a cool thing to see. They did. They completely changed the game.
Yep.
Like they completely changed the game. So my idea to do this was because I listened to a lot of Barstool stuff and they do their Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah,
like,
the Mount Rushmore.
It's Mount Rushmore's right. It's Mount Rushmore season and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'd like to do a Mount Rushmore, and I'm like, what could we do that's a little different than what everybody else is doing? I'm like, we could just do a tournament and we could do like tag teams, and then we could do like intercontinental champs, and then European champs and hardcore champs, and like we could just go in so many different ways with these tournaments, and I think it's going to be fun.
Hell
just
yeah.
for the nostalgia to talk about these teams and we're gonna be able to compare like teams from like the 80s and 90s to now the 2000 like and just fantasy book it in our heads and talk about it. Like I thought it was so cool. It got me like excited to think about all these teams. It was like, oh, dude.
And like even thinking about it, like just because it's not something I got to see personally, what about the superpowers? I mean,
Right. Or
when Hulk,
even the Rockers, dude. The
yes,
Rockers, like, or I mean, I know people laugh about it, but like the Bushwhackers were
the
like
Bushwhackers,
they were like a
or
meaningful
when
tag team.
didn't Sergeant Slaughter and who was the other guy tagged for a while too?
Sheik.
Sheik, the Iron Sheik. Like
Yep.
they like just now I'm starting to think now that I've already given my
Right.
4 and I'm starting to remember but the
What I
superpowers I think
what I
deserve an honorable
struggled
mention as
too,
well.
another team I struggle with leaving off the list, like, and it's a very big personal one for me because I loved them growing up. But the Nasty Boys,
Yeah.
but I couldn't put them above the Outsiders because the Outsiders changed WCW. The Nasty Boys were a great WCW tag team, but the Outsiders took WCW to that
to a whole nother
next
level.
tier. Right,
Whole
like they just
nother level.
literally like another one for the bad guys. Like
Yeah.
Scott,
Yeah.
like just the way they came into WCW and then just they ran rugged forever, dude. Like it was so cool. Like, I mean, you could go just ECW alone. You could go to so many different tag teams like Public Enemy. Like they had great feuds with the Dudleys and all those dudes, like Sabu and RVD. Like
Yep.
all these dudes, like there's so many different tag teams like you could just go out and like Rated RKO like was a fun tag team to watch. Like
Right to Censor. They had some good
dude, yeah.
Like, but then we're kind of towing
the faction.
The factions. That's where I kind of had like the New Day kind of a little bit.
Which I do want to do a faction one too because there's so many different factions that we could hit too. Like there's been so many great ones. Like it's so much fun to like. Whoa, who would you remember?
I might have to make a change.
Who you think?
One of the most hard hitting, funnest, best tag teams of all time. The Acolyte Protection Agency.
All right, we're gonna go to 16. we're gonna go to 16 here. We have to go to 16. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw these in a randomizer. Like, and they're gonna make up the bracket. So I'm not making up the bracket. You're not making up the bracket. It's just gonna be completely random.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have the matchups like that way. That way, it's the most fair. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the best way to do it. So you're gonna go with the APA. God, they're so good, and I love them, dude. Like their T-shirts and stuff. Like I have everything, dude.
It was just some of the stuff they did in the '90s was just great.
Television. So you're gonna bring the Accolades. In that same vein, then I am going to put the Nasty Boys on
Nasty
my list.
Boys, yeah.
Like, I have to put the Nasty Boys on my list. They're just, dude. They were, there's so many. All right, so who do you have for a 6 seed then? This is
Superpowers.
Oh, I like it.
When Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, was it Macho Man or was it Ultimate Warrior, actually?
Oh, no, the Superpowers was Ultimate
Warrior and Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
They like the world came to a halt when they came together I don't even think they tagged for that long, but just the sheer star power I think they need to be.
They were the two biggest stars in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah. And for them to come together as a tag team, I think and for them to even give themselves a name, I think the world stopped to see them.
I'm gonna give Harlem Heat a nod.
Yes.
I have to. Just because of how, like, another team that completely, like, they were different. You know what I mean? Like, they were completely different and they were dominant. Stevie Ray and Booker T was just so.
No, it was it. So I actually, hold on. So I got to backtrack here, and I think there's going to be a lot of marks that are gonna kill me. I was half right. Yeah. So it was Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, and it wasn't the Superpowers; it was the Mega Powers.
The Mega Power. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I had to.
But there was a tag team with Warrior and Hogan too for a little bit. But
And there
yeah,
was a tag team called
The Mega
Superpowers,
Powers
but
was like a lead up to a WrestleMania match too between Hogan
and actually
Macho.
the Superpowers was a pretty freaking damn good tag team in itself. I'll give you one guess who was in it. 1986 tag team. One of your favorites.
1986 Superpowers.
The NWA tag team.
Oh, it's got to be Dusty.
Yup. Nikita Koloff. Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff.
Ooh, I did forget about that. That is a good one.
I'm glad I looked that up.
Who do you have for your 7th seed?
All right.
So many
I see. Yeah. I think for 7, I think just because I mentioned them, I'll go to Rock and Sock.
Okay. All right.
Because that was another one where their run. I'll give you my 8th too. I know what I'm going to do for an 8 just because I mentioned them too, and now I got to do it. But the Rock and Sock, I think, was
my 7th. I'm going to go Edge and Christian.
Yeah, that's deservedly so. Yep,
I
agree.
have to. I have to go Edge and Christian. Like, there's to put the other guys in and not have them in would be a shame because of who they were. Like, what they all changed the game. They did a great job. Who's your 8th seed?
Brothers of Destruction.
Oh yeah, I should
because they're. I mean, and we'll probably maybe not argue this, but we'll make the points. But I mean, in the realm, for one, Kane is the greatest tag team wrestler of all time because he won the tag team with so many different partners.
He's definitely one of.
He's just a monstrous human being. Mm-hmm. But when Kane and the Undertaker were a tag team, there was never a more dominant duo in all of wrestling at any point in time.
The only thing I would say was when Taker and Big Show teamed up together. That was like around Armageddon 2000 or something like that, or 98, whatever it was. And they were a scary tag team, Big Show and Taker. When they were trying to get when they were trying to get Big Show to wrestle like a WWE wrestler instead of WCW. Like, that's what they were doing, dude. Oh, for my 8th, dude, there's so many teams. Like, this is tough. Because I could go Rockers. I could go early 90s or like even the mid 90s. There was like a lot of good tag teams out there too. Man, dude. Because we're going to forget people and people are going to be like, oh, yeah, you forgot this one real good. Like, I could conceive, you know what? Because we trash them all the time, the Young Bucks deserve
the Young Bucks. I actually thought you were going to mention them earlier. I'm surprised you didn't. Because they are a generational tag team from our generation. It's just they didn't get the exposure because they were never on. They're getting it now. But when they were at their best, in my opinion, they were never broadcast nationally, so a lot of people don't know just how good some of those Ring of Honor matches were.
New Japan stuff, dude.
Yep.
Oh goodness, man! Some of the matches they had in New Japan with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fischer, and like, oh, dude, they did so many remarkable things, like at Wrestle Kingdoms and all that stuff. They were money, and the fact that they did get their promotion off the ground, they are. You know what I mean? They did change the game.
They changed the game.
Changed it so far. Like they brought a lot of attention back to tag team wrestling when it was like pretty much dead in the water. You know what I mean?
Shit that gets talked about AEW that happens on this program, and honestly, we don't even mean to do it. It just kind of happens.
It's not like I'm targeting them. It's because I want them to be so good, and they're not.
The Young Bucks, the Young Bucks, and with Cody Rhodes, but since he's not there, the Young Bucks, say in the same vein as the Outsiders changed the game. The Young Bucks literally changed the entire landscape of professional wrestling in the 2000s, the 2020s. So that I 100% agree. They need to be on this list.
Yeah, I was gonna go another like 90s tag team, but then I'm like, I can't leave the Young Bucks off. Just good consciousness, I couldn't do it to them. Just
I left them off for you.
They have changed the game so much, and it's like they're one of my favorite tag teams ever. I enjoy watching them. There is like Motor City Machine Guns from TNA deserve
yes,
like they were so good, dude.
Oh,
Like,
what was the tag team with Lance Storm and the Canadian tag team? It was Lance Storm and someone
I think it
else.
was
Like that was
I think it
another
was
good
Team
like
Canada, dude. I think
yeah,
it was
like it was
Team
that was
Canada.
another good tag. I mean, granted, probably don't deserve to be on this list, but like or
Right.
beer money,
Yeah.
like
Oh, dude,
man,
James Storm and Robert Roode,
Rob,
they were
yes,
they were unbelievable,
a
dude. Like
great tag team with a
there
great
is
gimmick, dude.
there is so many great tag teams out there that it's tough. Like the two-man power trip with Triple
Yup,
H and Stone Cold,
Stone
like they
Cold.
were they were great. There's just so much that dude you could go in so many different directions. Like you could go even earlier back, you know what I mean? The Fabulous Freebirds. I didn't watch them, so you know what I mean? Like the Fabulous Freebirds and all those dudes, like they deserve to be on a list. Like there is a lot of teams that are being left off that could and should
And
probably be on the
should
list.
be. Yeah.
But it's we just these are the teams that we think changed the
Got to
game and we want to
got
talk
to
about.
well, and it also it's teams we saw with our eyes. It's harder to remember and
Yes.
place wrestlers and teams that we just didn't get to watch in real time. And I said it earlier, it's the same argument that people have where, it's like, who's the greatest quarterback of all time? And there are people who still say Montana because they watched what Joe Montana did with their own eyes. And me, like, I've just seen clips. So, like, it will never be Joe Montana for me. It will always be Tom Brady. But there are some people who will die defending Montana over Brady.
Which is crazy to me because of the titles that he won and in the fashion that he did it and the numbers he put up. And it's like at some point you just gotta let it
Two
go,
different
buddy.
decades. Two
Right.
different decades.
At some point you just have to let it go. It
Yeah.
just is what it is. I'm gonna make this tag team bracket and I can't wait to talk about this.
Hell yeah.
Like I
Hell yeah.
can't. I'm so excited to like see what matchups we get and how we compare them and who ends up on top. You know what I mean? Like and what matches like we talk about to like remember these tag teams
Yeah.
and like what memories stick out. Like you said the APA and immediately like 10 different things stuck out in my head. Like they were
The
so
bar fight.
good.
The bar
They were
fight's the number one. Or them
and
playing strip poker in the back. Like,
dude, there was one time where I can remember, and this is a skit that I shouldn't remember. Like it's just like one of those passing skits that happens. But it was the APA was sitting down with a bunch of guys and they were playing poker or whatever. And The Rock, or maybe they were I think they were just sitting there with whoever else. And The Rock had, they had that door in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so The Rock walked around and was like trying to talk to them. And they're like, hey, don't you knock? Like they made him go back out and knock and wait. Dude, it was like stupid stuff like that. But they could get away with it because they were so badass that you thought they could whoop anybody's butt. Like they could whoop anybody's butt at any given time. And it was so much fun to watch, dude. Bradshaw and Farouk were just so good. Like
Ron Simmons is so underappreciated.
Yeah, he was the first African American WCW champion.
Yep.
People forget about that. Like he was a single star very long before he was a tag team star, and then he like the APA kind of revived his career because I don't think he was doing anything at that time. I think that was like right after the
kind of coming off the nation
right
domination.
Because the nation
stuff.
had died like a year or two before that.
Yeah,
and then
they went with Rocky Maivia.
Right, and he wasn't really doing much because he was the leader of the Nation of Domination at the beginning, and then Rocky caught fire.
Yeah,
and then wasn't doing much, and then him and Bradshaw just took off, dude. Like that's when a tag team organically like comes together like that. It's so much fun. Like Edge and Christian, dude. We're gonna have fun talking about Edge and Christian too because I love those guys. But they went from being the Brood to then the 5-second poses, right, and then just being one of the all-time great respected tag teams of this generation. Like the progression of their careers. I could have the other team I was thinking of, and I feel these guys deserve to be on it probably just as much, if not more than anybody, the Steiners.
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't watch much of the Steiners. You know what I mean? Like I watched them a little bit, but another tag team that you can argue greatest of all time tag team. Like they were the Frankensteiner from Scott Steiner was like a move that was way ahead of its time.
Yep.
And like they were entertaining to watch. They were so good in the ring. They were strong style, so they would like really lay it in there. I feel like they should be over the Nasty Boys for me, but it's too late, and I'm not turning back because I love the Nasty Boys. And the reason I thought Nasty Boys because I was thinking managers in my head, and Jimmy Hart was so annoying,
Yeah.
but he was so perfect for them. Like it was, man, these tag teams. There's nothing like a nice tag team to like really sink your teeth in. I love a good tag team. Are you there? Did I lose you?
Yeah. No, I'm still here.
Oh, like, dude, how do you not love tag team wrestling? Like,
Especially
how do
good
you,
tag teams with good like
right,
chemistry. Like when
right,
like the thing, like the best part with the Dudleys was they knew where each other was going to be. They had the spots and the tag team moves that weren't just like DDT leg drop, like the the headbutt to the crotch, the
yeah.
down power bomb from the top rope. Obviously,
The 3D was so
yeah,
protected for so long. Nobody
yep.
kicked out of the 3D, like ever.
Nobody did the 3D for years after they stopped. They left too.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's in like the Legion of Doom when they did the what do they call that move? I can't believe I'm going to draw a blank on that move. But
I
yeah,
won't be able to help you here.
I forgot what their move was called. But like their finishing move was unbelievable too. They just sat their opponent on top of their shoulders, and then Hawk went off the top rope and flew. You know what I mean? Clothesline right off the top.
Doomsday device.
The Doomsday device. Yep. And they were the inspiration for guys like the Dudleys and guys like APA and like dude. All these tag teams were so great. Like, and to look like we're gonna look at their progression and stuff. If you look at where the Dudleys started from, like just a joke of a kind of a gimmick, and they made the best out of their gimmick that they were given. You know what I mean? Bubba Ray was a stuttering idiot
Yeah.
that couldn't get words out. And Devon, you know, like, and they were so good. They got so good at being heels and were so perfect for ECW at the time. Like they would just berate the crowd and get so much heat. Like
they said some
heat.
real borderline stuff.
They said a lot of stuff they couldn't say today.
Yeah.
ECW itself couldn't. Dude, I watched this video the other day and it was Gen. I don't know if it was Gen Zers or whatever it is, like the new generation that's Gen 1, whatever the name of it is, was listening to Eminem, millennials or whatever for the first time, and it was the Kim song. And I'm like, this is gonna be good. And they were horrified. Like like the dudes were like, yeah. And I commented on him like, this song got me through a lot of breakups in my early 20s. That's what you know what I mean? I
Kids these days just won't understand.
I put that thing on full blast and I cried and screamed about it. Dude. Like, that got me through some times, man. That got me through some stuff. But it's like that nostalgia is like we're gonna get caught up in a lot of this, like talking about these teams. And even like some of the newer ones that are out there, like the New Day started as something like that was almost. Do you remember when they first started? When they were almost like the new Nation of Domination to start, and then it just morphed into the New Day, and the New Day was something that we've never seen before, but grabbed the attention of everybody, and everybody booted it first because they thought it was corny, and then it just took off. Like
it was perfect for the PG era because it connected with the younger audience so well, and they were able to market it and push it to the moon. And I mean, I don't care for Xavier Woods as much, but between Big E and Kofi Kingston, I mean, they were phenomenal wrestlers that all complemented each other so well.
I think Xavier Woods is so underrated, and I think most of it is because of his TNA days as Consequences Creed. I had such an affinity for him, and I've never grown out of it because he had such good work as Consequences Creed in TNA and in the X Division and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's good in the ring. Like, he was a good foil to Big E. You know what I mean? He got the cheap heat and tagged Big E for the hot tag. Like, that was the role.
Yeah.
But him, Kofi, and Big E could work off each other no matter what. Like, they would just... Man, they're fun. And it's sad that Big E's probably never going to wrestle again.
That tag team was so over and so well liked that two members were basically forced into getting, or they forced the WWE into giving them world title runs.
right? Because they got hot.
That's how over that tag team was.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They were together for such a long time. Like they could have broke those guys up, like the WWE likes to break up tag teams, and they
Yeah.
just couldn't because
Might
no matter
might be
what,
coming.
the
Might be coming soon though.
you think so?
They're planting seeds with the other dumb group that I wish Karrion Kross wasn't associated with. What the heck do they call themselves now? Final Testament.
Oh yeah,
They're planting the seeds with Xavier Woods, man. They might actually be splitting because if Big E can't come back, then there's no point to keep the New Day as Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I would let them see what they can do as single stars if they can't reform what was the New Day. So I think that they might actually be getting split.
I think they can go their own way without breaking them up. Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't think you're wrong, and you're right. But I think what's happening is that they're gonna split them because of the final test. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I could see it in the body language.
Right about that.
Yeah.
The Usos too, like from when they started to what they became, and like how many times they changed. That is the definition of success. Is
100%.
how you can grow and change your gimmick along with the times, and not just falter. Like that's how guys like Chris Jericho have had these long careers. Like that's why he's been able to successfully change himself multiple times into all these different personas to latch on with the audience, and it works. You know what I mean? Like, man, and like the NWO did that. Like they were, dude, like the Outsiders, dude, they were so impactful. The Young Bucks have been able to do that multiple times. Like they've changed like a million different times. The Hart Foundation kind of was just the Hart Foundation, but they were just a classic kick your ass kind of tag team. And then Bret Hart got hot and then took off in the singles run. And then we got the new foundation with Owen and Jim, which was great.
Jim Neidhart,
it was great.
Yeah.
So also before we go, I'm in the middle of talking to our two future guests. We are going to have a couple interviews lined up. One is going to be a local wrestler. I don't want to drop his name just in case it doesn't come out. You know what I mean? I'll tell you it after. But he's a local indie guy. He's catching a lot of steam around here. Developing a name in the area, and it'll be a fun conversation. I've heard a couple podcasts he was on. He's a really good conversation piece. And then the other one that I have lined up, and we're just working on a day that he can do it, is a guy. I can say his name. I already talked to him about it. Is Scott King, and he wrestled as a jobber in WWE. Had a cup of coffee or whatever. But he also booked and trained a ton of guys like throughout the years. He trained Fandango. He's in touch with like all sorts of different guys, dude. He has all sorts of crazy stories. He's still involved. He does like ring announcing and stuff, and not ring announcing. He does the commentary on some of the local shows, and he's a fun conversation, dude. And to break down like the psychology of in-ring wrestling with him and stuff, like he's wrestled like Owen Hart, and he's had some cool stuff that we're gonna have some fun with. I'm gonna clip some stuff when we do his interview, like he'll talk about it, but like Owen Hart broke his jaw. Like I sent you that match when Owen Hart came off the top rope. He was like, I was so excited to be on TV for the first time that I walked into it, and I was supposed to like, he's like, you're supposed to like, there's no big secrets here. We're all wrestling fans, so like, you're supposed to catch it with your hand. He goes, I walked in just right to boot. He's like, it broke my jaw, dude. He's like, as soon as he hit me, I'm like, ow, that hurt. He was like, but Owen felt so bad after. He was like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. But he's got some of the stories that I play softball with his son, and we were outside my softball game one night, literally talking for about an hour and a half just about wrestling. Like it was. And he's like, I have like 30 years of these stories, dude. I'm like, dude, we would love to have you on. It would be so much fun to have you on. Like, and like, there's a couple other guys that I from when this show was previously on that we can bring back on, like NWO Sting. I don't know if you remember him. I can reach out to him and see if he'll come back on. He was such a big star in Japan. Like, and there's also a couple other, like, I like the local guys because it's such a lost art form nowadays, like the indie shows and stuff like that. It's so overlooked, but these guys have wrestled so many different matches in so many different arenas with like sometimes big names that you know what I mean, like get released and
Yeah.
just happen to go on the indies, and they give them these matches, and it's like awesome to talk about. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You get the inside scoop on what these guys are really like. It's kind of cool, like and
Yeah.
it's a fun conversation thing.
Hell
But
yeah.
those two are definitely locked in, and it's just a matter of working out the days. And it's gonna be, dude, we'll have a lot of fun talking about
Hell
wrestling
yeah.
with those guys. It'll be dope because especially Scott King, Joe, you're gonna love it, dude. He's a hell of a conversation.
I
He
look
is
forward to it, man. Just getting to hear some of the little dirty little secrets. Maybe not dirty little secrets, but little secrets about why some matches are worked the way they are. And I've always wanted to
right.
know why they always work the left. Why do they work the left side? Why do they work to the left? Like, why? I want to know. I could Google it. Don't want to. I want to hear it from someone who's in the business.
Right, and dude, we talked about me and Scott. Like I said, we talked literally. I think it was like an hour and a half after a game one night, and we were talking about like in ring psychology and like how it's like almost like a lost art form, and some of the guys that have it now, and like who his favorites are to watch, and like how it could be different. Like dude, it's such a good conversation, and it's cool to hear from somebody who wrestled in the territories, like did some indie stuff, and was able to train some guys that inevitably went to the WWE or anything else, like TNA guys. Like he's got a couple TNA guys he's trained and all that stuff, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, dude. I
Hell
can't
yeah.
wait. Like, I can't wait. So, do you have anything else to add on before we get out of here and
No,
close down the stream?
I think I've talked myself hoarse for enough for one night. So I think for now, I think I'm good.
All right, everybody. Be a friend, tell a friend. Go like, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Give us a shout, give us a comment, share it with a friend. Also, just give us a comment or a message on what topics you want us to hit on. If there's something that we didn't hit on, or if you have a tag team that didn't make the list and you want us to talk about them, just give us like a message with like a little description of why they should be in the tournament and stuff like that, and we'll talk. Because, like I said, we couldn't. There's no way we could hit on all the tag teams that should be in the tournament. Like we
Call
would
me a
legit
schmuck.
have to do almost
Call
like
me
we
a
would
schmuck
almost
for
have to
getting the
do like
mega
a
powers
March
wrong.
Madness one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's coming, dude. We're definitely gonna
Yeah.
get the mega power stuff.
I'm gonna get
like,
roasted for that. I get roasted
Yeah,
mercilessly for that. But it's all right. That's what happens when you do things online
yeah, that's true.
and live.
But
And
with
live.
all that being said, I'm Bams. This is Joey Wrestling, and we are out.